Well, I screwed that up, didn't I? Anyway, we're live.
We are live.
That's okay.
I'm happy to be live.
Start.
Yeah. So we ended the show at the beginning, but you guys were
I'm happy to be live.
fucking distracting me.
You guys were
fucking distracting me. Mine shut off. I don't know about you guys.
I think they're echoing, Scott.
Somebody's echoing.
Okay, I plead guilty, but that will not be a problem now.
Okay, let's just shoot her in the head and start over.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Bye.
We want to start over. We want to do over. Anyway, we have Dessel Ron Drace here, and
we got a full house.
We got Andrew and we got David, and we're going to talk about several different things. But I guess first of all, we're going
material today.
We're going to talk about Jesus and find out if he exists.
Sorry, I apologize.
Did Jesus exist? Did you have this at a certain timestamp, Scott?
Yeah. That's after all the introductory stuff, and just as Jordan was going to start his intro, just to let it run for a couple minutes to get a kind of a feel of where Jordan was going, and then we can talk about it. Unless you want to make some comments about the overall debate.
Okay,
go, Drace.
Oh, real quick, don't click. Is that the face Dessel you make when you're listening to nonsense?
So wait a minute, Scott. No, it started at 28, and that's well into Dessel's talk.
Well, hold on.
So I'm not entirely sure if he gave me the right timestamp.
I think I might have rolled it back to 2:03.
Man, Jordan's got a nice bow tie.
2 minutes?
Yeah.
The bow tie.
Okay, it was actually at 28 minutes, that timestamp. So
Okay. Just let this run for a couple minutes, and even run it fast if you want to.
Okay.
Specifically Pontius Pilate, and as a result, put to death by crucifixion. I think there's good evidence for all of that. And I believe that because it's the simplest explanation we have for the historical record. To support this claim, I'm going to start by talking about the historical context, because it's vital to understand the context of history before we try to assess how likely something is to be true. Then I'm going to talk about some of the specific evidence I think supports Jesus' existence. And then finally, I'm going to wrap up with a little bit of a soapbox on evidence. So before I dive in, a disclaimer, I am not a historian. I'm just a guy on the internet who has read some books. So you shouldn't trust anything I have to say. You should check my work, ensure that what I'm saying accurately reflects the scholarship, allegedly. The ancient Jews lived under foreign oppression for most of their history, with their most recent conquerors, and a long string of conquerors, being Romans. They took over in 63
Okay, let's do Danikins on that.
Kings such as Herod.
He basically gives his thesis right there at the beginning. A lot of the detail he goes into, which a little bit unnecessary, I think, but he's at least given his position from the start. And I think if you go ahead to about 15 minutes, then we'll have Dessel's start. In fact, I think I have that timestamp on that one.
Is this just a debate? And I mean, video, not a debate. Is that what this is?
This was a debate on Debate Cafe last Saturday or Sunday or something like that.
Oh, it is a debate. Okay. Yeah,
and it was an excellent debate. In fact, in the middle of the debate at one point, cinematic psychologist, I think, was one of the lady who was along with Snake was scoring the debate, said that these debaters are great because they were doing incredibly maverick things like using sources and reasoning and things like that. So it was just a really good presentation on both Drace's part as well as Jordan's. And plus, Jordan had the bow tie.
Thanks, Scott.
Crazy.
Okay, if we go to about to 15:05, 15 minutes and 5 seconds, that'll start Drace's opening argument.
theory of mythicism that can accommodate the evidence just as well as Jordan's like mundane Jesus, who's a part of history. He emphasizes that it's a very simple hypothesis. And so I need to explain to you what this theory is and in what sense Jesus is considered mythical. And then I need to respond to Jordan's case for historicity. And so one of the first things I kind of want to emphasize here is the nature of Jesus as myth, because people like Bart Ehrman will point to verses in Paul that reference Jesus's fleshly body. But for the mythicists that have passed peer review, their concentration is on ancient Jewish cosmology. And from this understanding, there are tiers to heaven, where the earth is viewed as like the center of the universe, and the further out you go, the more imperishable and pure things become. And our world of flesh for them under this cosmology extends to basically the moon, to they encompass it by calling it the sublunar realm. And in Jewish mythology, and also outside in pagan mythology, people can ascend and descend through the tiers of the heavens. And so it's agreed by mythicists that Jesus descends, takes on a fleshly body, but the dispute is where this takes place. Is this in the mythical conception of Jewish cosmology, where he just descends to the sublunar realm, where Satan and his demons are?
And if you think at any point, if you think we need to look into another segment on the timeline to really get the important points that you were trying to make, Drace, just let us know. One thing I want to bring up is I hear some of the Jesus from outer space information. Was that your primary source for that snippet of the presentation, or are there other sources that you turn to deal with the question of where did all this redemptive work take place?
So Jesus from Outer Space being Carrier's book, it's like a popular rendition on the historicity of Jesus, and that's a good book. He argues pretty well in there. For like original sources discussing like the general idea of ascending and descending, like you have examples like Plutarch talks about both Osiris and Romulus doing this. Livy also gives another account of Romulus doing this. And so like the question is like, how is Paul interpreting this? Like, is he interpreting it in this way where it's where this religion starts by way of revelations, like to Paul, from this being in the heavens who has done this, who descended to the sublunar realm and underwent this crucifixion and resurrected and reascended back into the heavens, sitting at the right hand of God. So that's how they interpret it from a mythicist point of view. And there's definitely evidence in the record that both on the Jewish and pagan side, they thought that this was possible. In terms of the Old Testament, like Elijah, for example, going up into the heavens, and et cetera, and so on. Philo is a biggie when it comes to this, because he has this like allegorical understanding of the scriptures and this kind of Platonic perspective that really gets into this. And so, yeah.
Very cool. Now, from that particular point, I believe your next point was the idea of euhemerization. Why and of course you were basically pointing out why statements in the Gospels shouldn't be taken as historical data, and you want to explain what euhemerization is and how that supported your argument.
So euhemerization is basically taking a mythical character and placing it in history. And examples of this again include like Plutarch does it for Romulus, and there's a bunch of other examples of like purely what were previously purely mythical beings being placed into history by some kind of book that was written as if it was history, but it's actually just historical fiction, peddling a moral platform and trying to make that morality concrete by giving it like some kind of historical context. And I think that there's really good evidence that suggests that that's exactly what the Gospels are. For this, in terms of the literature, you could look at John Dominic Crossan, The Power of Parable. You could look at Randall Helm's Gospel Fictions. You could look at The Birthing of the New Testament by Thomas Brodie, and example after example after example of all these many books that talk about approaching the Gospels in this way. And I could give you particular examples of of why allegory makes more sense. I can give that to you if you would like me to, but I don't want to ramble on this whole.
Right. Yeah. I was just kind of wanting to get a general overview. And did you get all those sources, Speed?
Which ones now?
Never mind. He named a bunch of his sources about the allegorical approach to different aspects of the gospel, euhemerization. But I just figured you'd be writing down all those sources and trying to find the links. But anyway, I believe, did you introduce Galatians 1:19 into the mix, or did Jordan?
Jordan's case for the historicity of James relies on a passage in Galatians, a passage in Corinthians, and Josephus's reference in the Antiquities.
Okay. So we don't need to go over that. I've been looking at the language of it, but there's obviously been a lot written about it, and so that whole issue, you can use a lot of time and a lot of volume of words and really get distracted on that. But the idea is on your side, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that Galatians 1:19, where it talks about Paul going to see Cephas or Peter after he'd received his gospel and went up to Jerusalem to talk to the church there. The only people he ran his gospel by was Peter, also known as Cephas, and James, the Lord's brother. And how what's the difference between how you interpret James, the Lord's brother, and Jordan, and how he interprets that?
This is something that I could have done a better job with in the debate, because even though I think my case was really effective on this point, I think I could have done a better job explaining to the audience how the mythicists views this. They're looking at it from the perspective that Paul declares that everybody's a brother. Like when you get baptized, you become a brother of Jesus. Jesus is the firstborn of many brethren. And he constantly describes people all throughout his letters as brothers and sisters. And Jordan concedes, you hear brother, 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 brother. But when he hears brother of the Lord, he thinks that means something very specific, and it's not the same thing. The mythicist looks at that as the same thing. Where we're referring to it as fictive kinship, it's cultic brotherhood. And so there are different arguments that historicists like Ehrman and others have given against interpreting this verse as intending fictive kinship. Instead, they argue that it's better interpreted as an actual biological brother. And that's why I had to get into the whole debate there about whether or not James is considered an apostle, because many of the arguments that the historicists give against the mythicist view rely on James having been a part of the apostles' group.
Now, one question that comes to mind is when you were talking about developing that idea of fictive kinship or becoming brothers through participation in what would be eventually the Eucharist, possibly baptism. Did you come across this book, Christ Associations, that talked about basically other groups in that day and age and how they associated with one another through trade, their particular trade craft or religion or cultic practices? Did that happen to come up, or is this did you use other sources?
Yeah, that's not a source that I relied on. that the book rings a bell. I think maybe you've actually mentioned it before.
I got started reading it and then had to stop because I'm distractible. I'm just distractible. That's all. And started reading another book. But yeah, I was just wondering, this idea of fictive kinship, was that something that was common throughout the Greek Hellenistic world, or was it something that was primarily influenced by Judaism and Christianity?
Yeah, as far as I understand it, the language of fictive kinship was a major part of most mystery religions. They all refer to each other as fictive brother, yeah, that's my understanding. And I will admit that part of my case primarily will be relying on Carrier for that information. That the other mystery religion groups included that as part of their customs.
Okay, now just another question for you, and I'm the same way in that, and this is kind of the freedom we have as non-believers and skeptics and agnostics, is that we don't have to pick a position and be right on it. We just want to know what the correct position is, what the best. Let me rephrase that, because correct position really doesn't state it right. What the most credible point of view would be. So combining the idea of euhemerization and then fictive kinship and such, are you thinking along the lines of places like Mark 6:3, where we talk about Jesus' brothers? Isn't this Mary's son, the brother of James, Joseph, Judas, and Simon? Are you including these as examples of euhemerization? Let me pull that up on the screen.
You're asking about whether or not his family were euhemerized?
These passages that talk about them as brothers of Jesus. Now, I realize the slightly key difference is the phrase in Galatians is brother of the Lord, but here we're talking about brothers of Jesus. Do you think this is, the mythology being backwards projected onto the gospel message?
So in my opening statement, I talked about the model that Bob Price has in his book, Jesus is Dead, where you see it like the level of mythical content being extremely high at the beginning, and then it goes down, and then it goes up again, because he goes down because you're incorporating a lot of historical material. You're building a historical narrative, so you're placing him into an actual earthly context, and so he can't be as aggrandized. So you add in this purported historical material. The line on your graph goes down, like I was talking about in the opening statement, but then it goes back up again. The reason why I'm talking about that is because how I would look at the family of Jesus would be the later legendary embellishment upon his basic historical narrative.
Okay.
And in terms of other mythical figures being placed into history and having family, that happens to the other examples as well. When we're talking about euhemerization, Romulus being an example.
So there was Galatians 1:19. A lot of time was spent on that. What other points did you make while you were doing your back and forths with Jordan?
So I mean, just to kind of sum up how I think it went, I think Jordan did very well. I think in terms of historicist case that I've seen made in formal debates, Jordan is pretty much as good as I've seen. But for me, basically how it went is he started off with a strong opening statement. I countered back and covered 3/4 of that opening statement, but didn't get to Josephus. He came back with his rebuttal and piled on a bunch of other stuff besides Josephus. And it came down to whether or not I could, in my rebuttal period, respond both to Josephus and his rebuttal round. And that's why I'm pretty happy with how it went, because I think I did that pretty well. And I think that the discussion period went well too. And so that's basically how I think it went.
I really, I thought it was a really good debate. I don't remember any new material that Jordan brought in, after the rebuttal periods and then during the discussion. I'm trying to recall if he brought in any additional evidence or whatever for his side, but there was all a very well-rounded debate. Are you planning on debating this topic with somebody again? Like,
I challenged other people in particular, but I don't think they're interested. Basically, what prompted me to do this was the several instances that I heard of mythicism being the atheist version of young Earth creationism.
Yeah, that's just rude. That's just rude.
Well, see, and even Jordan went so far as to kind of make that allusion just very loosely in his opening statement when he brings up young Earth creationists there in terms of consensus.
Well, he was basically saying, like, you would go to your doctor and and you want somebody who pretty much goes with the consensus there, or when you're dealing with science and evolution and young Earth creationists, you honor the consensus there. But then for this particular case, you throw consensus out the window is the argument. So
and
people with radical or not well received ideas are more willing to throw off consensus than people who have the conventional point of view. They will use consensus in their armory, and you have to deflect it, rhetorically. So
this is sorry, go ahead.
I just want to say that's not an enviable position to be in, and it also kind of feels like like you're wasting time dealing with something that we see as the bandwagon fallacy, where all these people have jumped aboard, or you have to clarify, well, what's the difference between just ignoring the consensus or accepting the consensus and committing the bandwagon fallacy?
Yeah, this is a really controversial topic. I've kind of debated this with people on this channel before. I've always been kind of a maverick, I guess, when it comes to this, because consensus really never mattered very much for me in either case. Like when I was developing in terms of my own thinking about evolution versus creation, consensus wasn't my issue. Like, I just wanted to understand and make up my own mind about who was telling me the truth. And so, and likewise when it comes to Christian origins. And so, like, there's that. There are other things that I would really like kind of bite into make an argument about, how Jordan approaches consensus, but I'm going to zip it with respect to that for now.
Yeah. So is there anybody, because I would like to see you get a chance to debate this a couple more times with somebody. Just, I want to see how you hone your presentation and your argument. I think that'll be very interesting. And I would be looking forward to that, because I'd like to see you get the information in, get the arguments in, and feel like when you've done your opener and maybe your first rebuttal, you have made a complete 100% argument, rather than, oh, I left this out and oh, I left that out. And I think that's just has to do with seasoning yourself and your presentation. Is there anybody you would like to call out and challenge publicly right now in World Wrestling Federation fashion?
On this topic, not right now, because like I said, I already called out a couple of people, and I don't want to, I don't want to smear their names across the, internet. So
I think I'm aware of. We didn't compare notes before this particular live stream. So there's a couple of people that I've heard of or just directly heard making that accusation about being the YEC of Jesus historicism or Jesus studies. It would be nice to call them out, but I'm not. I need to make sure that we know who to call out.
So I'd call out Bart Ehrman right now, but the prospects of him debating me are pretty much nil.
I don't think you'd have to pay him. I think anyway. So I was thinking of more within our circle of skeptics and atheists and agnostics.
But he's the main guy that, as far as I know, that's really been spreading that around, and there are a bunch of acolytes that follow him. That
So anyway, that's really all I have, other than to say y'all did a great job, and I think the reviews of it were very positive. I guess if they go in saying we have to declare a winner, they have to declare a winner, but I don't think you have anything to hang your head down for at all.
Yeah, overall, I was happy with how it went, and on both sides, I was really pleased with how Jordan presented his case too. So.
Yeah, and y'all were very respectful, and it's really a good lesson for other debaters to take and to model their approaches after.
I was a bit of a hog toward the end without meaning to be.
That's not up to you. That's up to your moderator. So.
All right. Well, thank you for your kind words. I'm glad that if you found anything useful out of it.
Well, I'm just impressed. I was just so impressed at the level of preparation y'all both did. I think that's the kind of debate environment we need. Not necessarily what we deserve, but it's what we need to advance. Just to advance the knowledge that we're all looking to get, a good perspective on. So, speed of sound, are you there?
Yeah. Speaking of debates, I wanted to mention something about the current status of me and Sel debating.
Okay.
So Sel kept adding. We were supposed to be negotiating, and he kept kind of adding things to it. And so what Sel wanted is he wanted a debate on his channel with a moderator that wasn't banned on his channel, which rules out everybody that I know, right? Everybody that I know is banned on his channel. And then he wanted to shut off chat. And then he insisted on an 8-hour debate. So what we finally decided on is in a couple of weeks, I'm going to go and have a conversation with him on his channel. And I think he still is pushing for an 8-hour conversation. Now, have you ever known me to be online for 8 hours? I'm just asking you how you think that's going to turn out. But, yeah.
I've already told you this, but I think if you want an 8-hour conversation, you're going to need to break it up into like 4, debates over or discussions over 2 or 3 months.
I mean, I'm fairly distractible, and few of my marriages have lasted longer than 8 hours.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Sal's taking a bit of a diva pill, I think.
I don't know what he was doing. I think he was challenging me to a debate, but then when I was really anxious, I was really excited about it, and I think he kind of backed down a little bit. And then in the process of negotiating with him, I'm like, do I really want to debate this guy at all? And it's like, I don't know. But anyway, so apparently we're going to have a talk, because he did promise when I let him on the channel. You remember he promised that I could come on his channel. He doesn't remember. He doesn't remember that. But you remember it, right, Scott?
He doesn't remember that?
No, he doesn't remember that.
He's written that to you in comments back and forth, hasn't he?
I think he might have. I'm not sure.
Yeah, in fact, in one of his challenges to you, I think he even talked about it.
Yeah.
The ones that were very Donnie SFT like, where it was a picture of a boxing ring and boxers in the ring, and one of them's down.
No, but he didn't mention the promise. The promise that he made. Remember when he came on when Taylor was on?
Yeah,
It was either in chat or on that stream that he promised.
I was on that stream.
Anyways, so that's where we're at currently. Currently, it doesn't look like a debate, but it looks like it's going to be a conversation.
Yeah, he just knows he he will lose that conversation, and he's trying to add all these conditions so that
I don't know why he wants
maybe
to go.
he'll wear you down.
Why
But
would anybody want to debate for 8 hours? And he said, we get a 15-minute breaks every 2 hours. It's like, are you fucking kidding me? I mean, like, wow. I don't think I've ever talked to a single person for 8 hours. Have you?
it just seems unreasonable to me.
It does, yeah. Anyway, okay. So, are we finished with Jesus?
We're going to let Jesus rest now. Dessel, did you have anything else you wanted to say?
Nope. No, I appreciate you guys going over it like that. That's cool.
Did you see Snake's side chat comment that he just wrote? He said at 4:27 p.m., this was our best debate so far, hands down.
All right.
Boom. You were there when.
Nice.
Good compliment.
Well, I'm glad you and Jordan enjoyed that debate, and everyone else did, Dessel.
Yeah, me too.
George's a smart guy. He has been working with Erica, Gutsit Gibbon, and that circle of anti-creationist advocates to do that heat, come up with numbers on the heat problem, and like if one of the positions that creationists take is that all of a sudden a whole bunch of radiometric dating took place, or radiometric aging, where radiation was released to make it look like everything was billions of years old or millions of years old or whatever the case may be, and Jordan actually calculated how much heat that would result in that short amount of time for the global flood, and which just by doing so makes the whole idea of the global flood and what creationists say happened in the global flood just to be ridiculous.
Basically, the Earth becomes an incandescent plasma.
Yeah.
We could talk about the geologic column for a little bit too, but first of all, Danish debater says sent me an email, and he has a simulation of basically mutations, and I apologize because I had so many things on my plate and I was going in so many different directions that I didn't get to the point where I totally understood your simulation. But I'm going to watch a video of you with Rebecca, and I think I watched part of it before, but I'm going to watch the whole thing and go back and forth with you on email and understand that model that you did, because it looks pretty fascinating. So I apologize for that.
Yeah, I think he did a good job. At some points, it was a bit confusing, I'll admit, but that's probably just some communication problems. I don't know.
Yeah, I've been I'm going in 5 different directions.
Yeah,
maybe 6, and I hate to pick one, and I'm not going to pick one. I'm going to keep going in 6 directions until I pull myself apart. But I will get to this. So anyway, I'll get into it.
We'll get to Danish debater eventually.
Yeah. So it's called the stratigraphic column, and what kills me is that
what they call the geologic column.
Yeah, that's actually what geologists call it, is a stratigraphic column. And if you look at it, what they do is
stratigraphy is the name of the discipline to begin with. Go on.
But they don't do it by Tapete's sandstone and the what is it? What the hell was it? I forget what the other layers are, right? Because those are all in the Grand Canyon. Now, if you look across all of Southwest United States and up into Colorado, what you're seeing, I think, is deposits from that inland ocean. Now, they claim that these very same rocks can be found across the world.
Right.
And but where's the evidence for that? Because I don't see that anymore.
Yeah, that's a big assumption on their part. Like, just because you have sandstone in North America, one formation, for example, doesn't mean that's the exact same sandstone from another formation on Africa, like, because we know, I mean, even within a specific region, this is where regional stratigraphy is important when you're looking not just how they stack up vertically, but also how they cross each other horizontally. Because we know that a single formation, for example, because depositional environments shift gradually over time, that even a single formation going from a lateral direction isn't going to be the exact same age or a uniform age, because those sediments were deposited at different places as the I need a graphic to show it, but yeah, basically not all parts of the same formation are the same age, and not all formations across the world are definitely not the same age. So
yeah, things look more like this,
yeah,
and it's just they and they're showing, but they always want to talk about the Grand Canyon, and then they talk about it like if you drilled a hole in Australia or in Europe somewhere or Africa, you'd find the same sequence,
right? Which you don't.
And if you did, I'd probably eat my cat. I mean, show me that. But they never want to talk about anything but the Grand Canyon. So I'm getting really fucking sick of hearing about the geographic column.
Right.
Because
I mean, like, you can correlate different based on like biostratigraphy and using index fossils, for example. You can correlate even layers that came from different depositional environments, and it turns out, oh, they're the same age. So that kind of blows their whole claim out of the water here. Yeah,
and here the thing is that here in a slideshow for a course, I think it's geology something or another.
Ooh, that's a cool diagram.
Okay, yeah, but they're always showing examples from the Grand Canyon. Do you know why? Because the Grand Canyon is one place on Earth where we have the very best stratigraphic columns that we can talk about when you want to teach
geology.
Moreover,
it's pretty exposed, to be honest.
But show me that in Africa or Europe, or and show me these nice, horizontal plains almost anywhere else. Because in Minnesota, as I texted you, we don't have no stinking geographic column. There's stratigraphic column. We have formations, right, that are very, very complicated. There's upthrusts, and there's just tons of stuff. I mean, there are stratigraphic layers here and there. In fact, there's a real stunning example of it when they dig down in the mines. They go through the iron layer, and they go all the way down to a real tan colored layer. But that's the way it is up there, and it doesn't look anything like it does in the Grand Canyon. It's very, very different kind of rocks.
Right.
So
I also like Snake was right's comment here, because he is correct that initially we were just basing this the stratigraphy on relative ages, like, okay, what's above what's older or younger, what cuts into what. And it's so interesting and bizarre to geologists that the radiometric dating, which produces numerical ages, just so happened to confirm that the relative ages are accurate.
Yeah.
Long story short, that's a good point, Snake.
Yeah, and it's gonna depend. Okay, it's all about gravity, and you have like mountain upthrust, and then you have erosion for a very, very long time. And in the process of that erosion, you're going to end up with a varying kind of sediment being deposited at the bottom, at the lower layers, right? The lower elevations. And you're going to keep seeing that. And then something else is going to come along and push that whole mess upward again. And now you're going to have a whole different kind of thing happening. Now it's going to be eroding by the wind, and you're going to have a non-conformity, basically, because it gets eroded away. And
if you study sedimentology, you can clearly decipher these changes in how deposition and erosion take place. So yeah.
Well, how can Dr. Crackers,
not something we're guessing at?
Dr. Crackers, who supposedly has a PhD in geology, how can he keep putting this shit out there? without ever talking about what I just talked about, the problem of finding those same rock types in different areas of the earth.
Right.
I mean, why don't do they know they're lying? Do they know this? I just don't understand it, unless they've never looked any further than the Grand Canyon. It's Grand Canyon, to Pete Sandstone, to Pete Sand. That's all you fucking hear. It's like, stop it.
Right.
Talk about
because it's the most obvious example of what we're talking about here. It's that they figure if they can tackle that, then they can pretty much tackle anything else, which certainly isn't the case.
Yeah. So you want to talk about this joker?
Yeah, I have a thing or two to say. I was saying backstage when I reviewed parts of this video, it broke my brain not once, not twice, but 3 times. So I called it a triple whammy of stupidity wrapped up into one video, basically. And I know I'm being harsh here, but man, like the confidence he was portraying in this video,
I know,
and the basic errors in geology he was getting wrong. Like, I'm not an expert in geology, okay? I'm just going to put that out right. But even I could tell the errors in his logic and his observation here. Like, come on, man.
Okay, where's the part where he talks about, it's smaller molecules like subatomic particles that float to the bottom?
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Okay, do you have a link?
Okay.
Because
Yeah,
I'm
going in order here. I'm going in order here.
Okay, I get a whole lot of exercise watching him and Standing for Truth.
Yeah.
Because I frequently come right out of my chair. I mean, I just stand straight up and it's like, what
Right,
the fuck?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have
All
any
right,
links?
so of course the first thing here.
Do you have any timestamps?
Not right now. Let's see. I know the general sections he talks about. Like this first third of it, as you're showing, he talks about these mud flume experiments again, which we already dealt with before. But it seems the video from George is spreading, because I think at one point he mentioned that he got it from George Bond originally.
So is that old guy getting younger? There was an old guy in a tie and a sweater. Now we have a younger.
Yeah, I think it's
guy that looks kind of like him.
I think they're different people.
Is this Benjamin Buttons?
Maybe, I don't know.
Oh, by the way, I sent an email to the current head of Colorado Mines and Engineering, the researcher. I forget what her name is, and she sent me a response. And I asked her about young Earth creationism and how they're using them as examples, and she was very terse and short with me. So I'm not sure if she was pissed off or she thought I was a creationist or whatever. But she said, I do not. Okay, I asked her if she knew of a French sedimentologist at the Colorado School of Mines that proved something about rapid sedimentation. And I asked her, about the 6,000-year-old Earth. And she said, her name is Pere Plink Bjorland. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I am not familiar with anybody at Mines who supports that the Earth is 6,000 years old. Perret. That's all she said to me. So yeah, she's not aware of anybody that supports this bullshit. So anyway, I thought
it's because, like I said, these experiments have been going on since at least the 90s, probably earlier, and there are sedimentologists who are using these and doing good, accurate research on it. What the creationists are doing is they're taking these pretty kind of standard results and experiments that are doing good research and twisting it to kind of, look, it shows all the laws that we already knew had some exceptions and that aren't actually broken in this case. They're broken. Well, no. Geologists already kind of understood the way these formations occur, and like I said, we already went over this, so I didn't feel I need to say my piece again. But yeah, that was the first thing that struck me. Okay, and then go back a little bit.
Back here.
No, the is, I guess the darn, I wish I could point to it specifically, but okay, go to like 20 minutes. See
Hang on a
what's
second here. Let me.
There's a specific part, and this is the part that really broke my brain because it just shows how little of a grasp on geology raw Matt has.
Okay, so this is 20 minutes. So.
Okay, maybe it was further.
Well, he starts up in 10 seconds, so I think.
No, it wasn't this part though. It was a specific part. Okay, go. Is there a like if you hover over it? There's a part where he's showing like the water and the continents and all that.
This one?
No, it's up ahead than that. What's the word for it? I'm losing my words.
You lost your words? Okay.
It's further up than that. Okay, maybe it was more like 30 minutes. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Okay, it's around that section. No, go back a smidge. Yeah.
Smidge.
Okay.
Right here?
Smidge.
Or smidge? All
right, there we go. All right, now I want you all to listen to this part very carefully, and then I'm gonna explain how this is pretty bonkers. Okay, so let's play this part real quick, and I'll tell you.
It can't be more bonkers than the subatomic particles floating at the bottom.
Yeah, but we'll get to that too. Don't worry.
Back into the oceans as the waters were running off of them, as we can see in this Northern California or United States map. And as the water came off, it would bring with it sediments in some of these layers, and it would be exposing them. And this is what we see. And you'll see this throughout different continents. Imagine this water dumping off the continents like that. It's not going to happen everywhere. Water doesn't do that, but it does in a lot of regions. For example, in Montana. And here's a map that you can see flowing off into the Gulf of Mexico, and it brought with it lots of sediments and sand. And that is still there to this day. Why would that be there if there was not a massive, gigantic flood runoff from the continent itself? There's only one answer for that, people.
Mississippi.
There we go. All right. Only one explanation.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen what happens when a river enters the ocean?
Has he heard of the Mississippi River?
Right. He even showed it.
Yeah.
Like deltas and rivers entering the ocean, depositing the sediment on the continental shelf. Like, what?
Yeah.
What are you even talking about?
Yeah, and he was very, very confident.
Yeah. So yeah, this is one of the parts that like just hit me like what are you talking about? I gotta listen to that again. And I listened to it, made sure I'm not misrepresenting, but no, he seems to think the only way sediments could have accumulated on the continental shelf around the edges of the shoreline is through a global flood washing over the continents and then receding back and carrying the sediments along with them. Like, no, the rivers. Okay. Here, if I can share my screen real quick.
Yeah.
Explain this in a little more.
And I think the molecule part comes up right after this, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay. All right. Let me know if this is showing. So this is going to be a basic demonstration of the key thing he's missing here. Okay. All right. So these are the mountains over here. So, and this is obviously a simplified diagram, but it gets the point across. So these are the mountains. These are various depositional environments. Yes, there are more than one. But a basic way sediments can be deposited is weathering and erosion takes the sediments from the mountains, from the continents, and carries them along these rivers and streams all the way to the ocean, where they can sometimes form these deltaic environments and deposit, these sediments around the continental shelf, where they just build up over time and lie there. And then sometimes they can, through these underwater landslides, form these turbidite deposits along the continental slope and even in the abyssal plain, where they.
And what's really spectacular, is they measure like sedimentation coming off of mountains and stuff through
Right.
rivers and into, because that's the
Yeah,
thing.
we can see this stuff happening. Like, this isn't guesswork. Yeah, exactly.
But Andrew, I can see, right where your cursor was, I can see the flood coming off that continental shelf right there. That's a flood, right? Because it's all filled with water. But
yeah, all this, yeah. Anyway, that part broke me.
Yep,
And I know I might be being a little nitpicky here with geology, but man, this is just, if they took a course in sedimentology or just basic historical geology, anything like that, I don't know.
Yeah, that was one of the points where I stood up out of the chair when he said that, that's the only way it could have happened.
Right.
And I'm looking
you saw that too?
I'm looking at the Mississippi River Delta right there in this map. It's like, well, I think there's another way that could have happened.
Come on.
I mean, that's the only way it could have happened in an afternoon, right?
Right.
Aren't there other big rivers where that happens too, like
yes.
the Nile?
Or near India or
Amazon?
I don't know. Yeah. I guess those don't exist apparently.
Oh, that stuff, that was saying that they measure. Like I've read about people who measure sedimentation coming off of the Himalayas,
Right.
So
yeah.
Hey, is Bread with us? Bread of Life here?
Yep. Bread of Life's in the side chat.
She is in the side chat.
Well, hi, Stupid Whore Energy too, because I know I saw you before, but I didn't say hi. I gotta say hi
to everyone in chat.
I gotta say hi to everybody. Peter W, Dave M. Okay, let's see if he says the thing that I want him.
Okay. Yeah, I really wanted to go over that part at least real quick.
So we will move on to the next one now. Actually, here's some more. I forgot I added some. Probably because the layers that we know formed from the flood, that a lot of evolutionists believe that these are layers based on the radiometric dating, which we've gone over. If this is all some.
Can I please point out that geology and evolution are different branches of?
Yeah, you may. Yeah,
merged.
Yeah.
The heaviest elements are going to be in the bottom because these are very small particles, and they're not like the rest of these rocks here that are going to, if they're all wet
Okay, I want to do it again.
Right.
Okay, now listen to them very carefully.
Submerged. The heaviest elements are going to be in the bottom.
Oh, wait a minute.
So,
okay,
we will move on to the next one now. Actually, here's some more. I forgot I added some. Probably because the layers that we know formed from the flood, that a lot of evolutionists believe that these are layers based on the radiometric dating, which we've gone over. If this is all submerged, the heaviest elements are going to be in the bottom because these are subatomic, very small particles, and they're not like the rest of these rocks here that are going to, if they're all wet and at one time underneath all water, you're going to get the heaviest sinking down into the deepest layer. And that is what we see from radiometric dating, right? The uranium is going to go deeper. It is the heaviest.
Okay, so uranium is the heaviest subatomic particle, and it goes down through the wet mud, and it sinks to the bottom.
Can I raise my hand? Okay,
yeah.
So you're saying uranium, which comes in atoms, is a
no,
subatomic particle? Okay, all right. I was just wondering.
Apparently, not even that wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, it also excluding the fact that not all of those layers are even just wet mud and sand. It's what are we dating to begin with? All these lava flows and whatnot. Apparently, they're not here yet.
I wish I had pulled up the chat, because I think at the same time in chat I was seeing people talk about what a brilliant researcher he is.
Yeah.
And oh my God, you just really bring it home.
He found cartoon pictures of dirt. Woo-hoo!
Yeah, as Beamsy, I think is talking about in chat, there are just multiple issues with this whole argument. First off, the fact that, as he says, uranium deposits, or just even things we can date with uranium lead dating, we can date a fairly wide range of rock sequences with this. It's not like, oh, we're just dating the Proterozoic eon, which would be expected if what he's saying is true, if it's all at the bottom, basically. Moreover, like, you can date the same frickin' rock with completely different isotopes, of course, with the right half-lives. Like, you can date a certain rock with uranium lead dating, but you can also date it with like rubidium strontium dating, and as far as I can understand, those are different elements, are they not? So how can they're the same rock?
Setting aside the fact that he said that uranium was a subatomic particle, which uranium is an atom. I'm sorry.
Right.
Okay, but if you have like calcium carbonate, right, which is, calcium and carbon and oxygen, the calcium doesn't come loose from the basically the carbonate and float to the bottom because it's heavier or lighter. It doesn't sort actual atomic elements, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's what he's saying.
Right.
You think fucking uranium comes loose from whatever it's combined with.
I mean, if that's the case, why are they in the rocks in the first place? Shouldn't we have like a solid layer of uranium atoms at the bottom of the?
Yeah, and then a solid layer of iron, and then a solid layer of carbon and nitrogen, and whatever. It's just like.
Well, I also like Beamsy's comment here that they can't explain the ashfall levels. Like, yeah, this is what we're usually, or not always, but often dating to begin with, is not the sedimentary layers themselves, but the igneous deposits in between. Like, how do you explain that? Like, if these are all just wet sediments that all the elements condensed and atoms floated down to the bottom. Like,
why isn't the carbon on top of the nitrogen and the oxygen?
Right.
Because carbon is lighter.
Right. It's just completely goes against everything we know.
We know the hydrogen is going to be right on top, so that's going to be the first layer.
Right.
Oh my goodness! But I think he kind of doubles down on this
particle that there is. And we get the lighter ones that date younger. That's the only reason that they are the way that they are. Okay. Then we have this. This is in Montana. Why would we have flood deposition looking layers that we would get from that experiment we saw earlier, where there are large rocks followed by smaller grains, followed by even smaller?
He mentions the correct answer in a second here, but then he denies it.
Over and over and over again.
Okay. I think he's showing a slice through a riverbed of clay.
Right.
It's clay.
Right.
I mean, oh my God.
That only makes
sense.
Well,
as far as I'm aware, clay doesn't usually settle at the bottom of a moving river.
Well, on riverbeds, you'll find those kind of that kind of stratigraphy in the mud, in the clay, which is actually not rock. It's more recent positions, and that's what he's showing. And he's showing there's roots in there, for Christ's sake. You can see roots.
What?
Maybe we could. Sorry, just pause for a second. I said maybe we could let Beamsy in here. He might have a finger or two to say. Seems that he already has already. So maybe open it up in a sec. Just saying.
The link. Oh my goodness! These people.
My brain is broken.
Water back out over and over as it flooded the continents. We see this in the geologic column, but they are unwilling to accept catastrophism or even look at it.
Oh yeah, that was the other little gem in there.
Look at the trees.
Right. Well, that's what he said. Oh, we don't accept catastrophes at all. Like,
yeah, not at all. Yeah,
not at all.
No. He really ought to listen to Nick Zentner for a while. I wonder, he'd probably be completely confused.
Yeah.
Probably a local flood, or this was during the Ice Age when their glaciers were melting. That's it. But look at that. What do we have? Sorry, I'll show you guys that again. Let this one really sink in. The pre-Mesozoic fossils are older than the ocean floor itself. How could that be? They're much higher, aren't they? It's because
Citation needed.
What is he talking about? The older
As
than the
this-
ocean? What part of
That's
the
why I
ocean?
said citation needed.
Yeah,
Right.
citation.
Yeah, but okay,
Oh, let's see.
if you're getting something that used to be part of an ocean from up at higher elevations, that would mean that
Right.
the ocean floor that we have now is newer than the ocean floor that got pushed
Right.
up due to
Yeah, because ocean floor can be uplifted, and moreover,
yeah,
like
it gets
the
renewed.
oldest
It
ocean
gets-
floor we have today is only like Mesozoic in age.
Yeah,
Well, here's his citations. Donate to the show. Subscribe on
Right.
Facebook. New kid books read aloud. Oh, wait a minute. No. New kid books read alouds with an S. Do you see that? I got to show this in new kid books read alouds. Okay.
Another check.
Yeah, I think before you start reading kids books alouds, you ought to learn how to read or write. At least air check your fucking description. Of course, now Dre's caught me out on a mistake I made in a paper. So
Yeah.
I should.
I mean, I get it. We're being kind of silly
being
here, but like
nitpicky?
this constant outpouring.
Well, when you fill up with stupid, you start picking on the details.
Right.
And like, I am so full up with stupid from these fucking people.
Yeah.
I mean, like it happens to me about every 3 months. I just get so filled up with them that I swear I'm never going to talk about them again.
Well, since Beamsy hasn't been here before, and I'll also welcome Beamsy. Thanks for joining.
Beamsy been here before.
I've been here before.
I mean the discussions so far.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh,
like,
today.
Did you have anything you want to say so far about the video, or everything you put in side chat, or I don't know? Do you have any thoughts on it so far?
Well, considering my PhD was in stratigraphy and geomorphology.
Really?
Oh, I knew we needed somebody like you in here today.
I thought ahead of time.
It just hurts.
Yeah.
So
he needs to talk to someone who's a paleomagnetologist, and then he would actually understand. Oh, that's why the seafloor is younger.
Right.
So, do you understand my complaint about them with the geological column, and they're always showing the Grand Canyon, right? And like, you're not going to find the same column in another continent. Am I correct?
No, you won't. And it won't even be similar distribution of the minerals found in it, because
Right.
the limestones are always localized and they don't explain the difference between the limestones.
Right.
Yes, they're all calcium carbonates, but
oh, there we go. There's a gem from Otangelo. Shells. I'm sorry.
okay, Otangelo, explain this to me. Do you understand what the Rainbow Way is on the top of Mount Everest? If so, why would anyone be stupid enough to get any fossils from that altitude?
We'll see what he says.
Yeah.
They won't be able to answer because of the simple aspect of, at that altitude, no one would be stupid enough to stop and let themselves be killed just to get an exploration through some rocks that are buried under a feet or two of snow. There's never been fossils found on the top of Mount Everest because no one is stupid enough to stop, and anyone who was is dead.
Right. Well, we already know why there are marine fossils in the Himalayas to begin with, though, is because it was once an ocean floor, and it got uplifted.
Yes, it's in the Himalayas, but it's not on the top of Mount Everest like they keep claiming.
Right.
So why do you have to endure this? Why are adults talking like this? I would have expected this back in 4th grade. No, not even then. I think maybe 2nd grade. I don't know. Should we see what else Raw Matt has to say here?
Sure.
Let's see where he goes next.
as they were pushed up. And this is what we see. I'm going to run out of time. Let's look at this. I love this. There's another.
Okay, I do want to hear Beamsy's thoughts on this one.
Okay. Time. This is a trilobite cartoon, of course, going through geologic layers. Why? Because this is what we see. Literal tracks going through different geologic layers. And
those all look like different layers.
Why? Because as flood was coming in and out, they were going through higher layers trying to survive. They were fighting their way to the top. And eventually they couldn't do it anymore. They got trapped and fossilized.
Well, they get tired. He got tired crawling up through the layers.
Right.
That all looked like one deposition of sandstone. That did not look like multiple layers.
Exactly. Yeah, I was like, that didn't look like multiple layers.
So, and if they dug up, why are there no tunnels? Why is there no indication that something had dug through there?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
We have fossilized tunnels.
Right. Burrows elsewhere. Why aren't they found here?
I'm trying to find this multiple layer trilobite he's talking about. He must be talking about one specific fossil they found, right? Somewhere?
Yeah, probably.
But I don't see a picture anywhere for it, so I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Again, his sources are donate to the show, subscribe on Facebook, suck Donnie's diddle.
But that's another thing they don't explain. It's a matter of, the land things will be underneath all the sea things because the sea things can swim away. Yes, but why are there things like Megalozoa over things like ichthyosaurs?
Yeah.
Right.
Oh no, he's still going on about this.
Okay. Why are we talking about Shroud of Turin all of a sudden?
Oh, because Otanzo just Shroud of Turin does it for him. That's his thing.
Yeah.
That's
because he's talking with Stupid Whore Energy about.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Stupid Whore Energy first said because they want Jeebus to be real, and then Otangelo said, "But do you not have any information that I do not know of that says Jesus is not real?" And then Stupid Whore Energy, of course, she said, "Well, he's dead. He died like all humans do." And then he went,
Good evening.
It has been shown that the Shroud of Turin was actually a piece of toilet paper used by Biggest Dickus back in the time of Israel.
No. The Shroud of Turin was made by what the hell? What the hell did a certain person say? Never mind. So how are you doing?
You have to watch Monkey
about
Bison.
shrouds, burial shrouds from the first century, is that they were wrapped around the head and wrapped around the body using long strips of cloth. So Otangelo's even entire conception of a shroud for buried Jews is just ill-conceived.
Yep.
This one is deep.
Are we going elbow or all the way to the shoulder deep this time?
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we have had enough raw mat for today.
We had enough? Okay, so
anyone complaining?
So there's a video that came out today. Do we need an extended evolution?
Oh yeah, by John Perry.
Perry, yeah. Do we need a new theory of evolution?
Right.
By John Perry.
Hey, before we switch topics real quick, I do have one more thing I want to ask Beamsy. So I saw part of your review of that Standing for Truth video on the Geologic Column, the first one. Do you have any, I guess, like things you've because I know they bring up like the mud flume experiments, like we've tackled this on this channel here, but what do you have to say about that?
The issues that they have there is when you use a flume, you have to use a square flume when you're actually studying deposition, because when you're studying deposition, you have to take into account that there's a wall there. Otherwise, all your layers would actually collapse. Oh, you don't even start.
How do you explain this there, Beamsy? Look at this.
That's not sedimentation.
Yep.
Speed, put the article up. Let's read the article.
What article?
Because I'm
Oh,
interested in about it.
not an
Oh,
article.
does evolution need a new? Does evolution need an
Oh,
overhaul?
the Guardian article.
Uh,
You're gonna get rid of me.
everybody wants to get rid of you.
Can't get rid of me. Okay, got rid of me.
Were you gonna say anything else, Beamsy, or are you done?
I've been trying to go through their 2-part Noah's Flood special that they had, and I've got about 90 hours of demonstrations and things that I've been trying to cut down to a reasonable length. And every time I review it, it's just something new comes up, and it's just.
Yep.
Well, why don't you do like Hulu and them do is just put out one episode every week and then take the summer off and then start putting out a new episode.
I'm trying to cut it down to 3 hours at most. That way it's at least watchable in 2 parts. But the madness that they were expressing was... Like, they cannot explain ashfall. They cannot explain the difference between different aspects of the calcium carbonates or the limestones. They cannot explain the difference between different kinds of slate. They cannot explain the different kinds of sandstone.
Well, I'm going to look forward to watching that one.
Yep.
I've been working on it for a month, and I just cannot get it below 60 hours worth of content. It's
that bad, is it?
Yeah. I took their 5 hours and got it to about 150 hours with demonstrations that I cut from.
I mean, if you got some little experiments to do there, that should help your audience understand. So I think that's a good idea.
One of the part of it is I actually show how a flume works and how different it's.
Only his wang rag in play. God damn it, Benghazi! What the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck?
No, I just want to point out that Scott highlighted that one. I didn't.
Well, okay, but at the same time, I'm still gonna give Benghazi shit for that one. Doesn't matter.
Scott under the bus on this.
Oh, that's fine. I'm just, every once in a while something pops up and I just click on it. I'm not really going.
You don't really read it, right?
Yeah, I don't really read them. I just click on it because people want their stuff to be seen, and I think we ought to let them have it seen.
Yep.
Okay, if you
I appreciate everyone so far for going through with us on the madness that is raw mat today.
Yeah.
If you want to get
cancer or sexually transmitted disease, or you want to become a communist, go to Gerstreams in an hour, and he's going live. So
okay.
Gur is a communist, confirmed. Gur, if you're watching, you are a dirty communist.
What was that shit about?
And Leo's probably gonna kill me for this, but I don't like communism, so whatever.
What was that shit about Dr. Dan being a communist at SFT?
I don't know. It was a very weird meme I came across.
Yeah.
I really thought it was in poor taste, honestly.
It was kind of like, if you're a little kid, and you're really pissed off, and you're just you're just a meanie.
Right.
It's like, you're just a communist.
Well, I will note Midnight. Pretty much everything they do is in poor taste.
Well, fair enough. But okay. Andrew, are you gonna be allowed back on Praise's stream? By you saying everything they do is in poor taste.
At this point, I could care less.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'm not associating with SFP and his gang anymore.
Wait, don't you mean I could not care less?
Stupid Energy has an actual question and would like us to help her recall what Matt actually said about pre-Mesozoic fossils.
Oh, yeah.
They're older than the seafloor.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yeah. Ignoring the fact that
our response is
usually pretty young. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, guys, ready to shoot in the head for the day?
Oh, we're not going to go over the article?
Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Or you're just pretty long.
Kind of mentioning it.
Well, yeah, I want to mention it, but we could go over a little bit. So, well, we can see what he's got to say.
Long story short, it's all about the extended evolutionary synthesis issue again.
Yeah, he gets into some interesting stuff here with, let me see here, recently found an article in Guardian claiming that scientists don't actually understand evolution and they are desperately grasping for a new theory. Is this true? Is the concept of evolution as described in our textbooks wrong? Now, he got that from a teacher, and his video is a response to her. So,
Right.
I wanted to explain that no, your shit ain't wrong.
Right.
Just,
Your shit is not even wrong. Like string theory, it's not even wrong.
yeah, and he talks about, let's see,
Ooh,
what,
notebook.
let's see,
Or then notebook.
midway through the
Textbook.
story, he granted the existence of, so they have some complaints in this article by the Guardian that the biology textbooks don't explain where lenses came from and where all the different parts of the eye came from. And he points out that, yeah, if you want to know that, you got to go a lot deeper than your 11th grade biology book. But that's their complaint, is that, they don't explain to you where the eye comes from. It's just like, yeah, in an 11th grade biology book, not going to do that. So anyway, and then let's see what he's talking about. Yeah, and then he talks about this book, Evolution's Witness, How Eyes Evolved. If you want to know, go read this book. So he recommended that book. And then, of course, they said we don't know how the limb developed, or we don't know how wings
evolved. Yeah,
the wings evolved. And so he gets into that a little bit. And I love this picture in the wings. It's like, okay, that's an insect. That's got 6 limbs.
Well, when somebody like Romat or Donnie or whatever says there's only one explanation for this, or they don't explain how this happened, I always interpret that in my brain. I just translate it to, I don't know how to read anything other than creationist literature.
Wait, how are those wings? Go back.
What? Those are angel wings.
Yeah, how are they? Oh, I have a headache.
That's an insect. You're looking at an insect. It looks like a woman, but a lot of insects mimic other species. And so this is an actual insect. You got that?
Yeah.
You follow me?
No, I've actually recently became a younger creationist. I lost my brain. I don't know. Never mind. I can't say that seriously.
You've been censored. You've been censored here on this channel. It's fucking with you, Midnight.
Yeah, I know.
I have a feeling Speed needs to do that at least once every time you show up.
I know.
Wait, he removed me, right?
I did.
Oh, well, you suck.
Okay. So here's this panel. Okay, they have a website, and it's about the extended evolutionary synthesis, which a lot of people are quite into.
Yeah.
And there are reasons for calling it that, and there's a whole lot of controversy about whether or not we need a new name for it. I'm kind of with them that we do. I like the idea of the EES, and I love their fucking clever logo. So, but anyway, so most of the people here are legitimate scientists working on legitimate stuff, but he has a bit to say about them. But then there's this stuff about the Templeton Foundation. Okay, let's see.
Ultimately, they want their subfields, plasticity, evolution. Okay.
I went away. Okay, where does he talk about the Templeton Foundation? So the Templeton Foundation, I think it's run by some religious billionaires, and they do fund stuff rather in an unbiased way. There's a lot of good work that's been funded by the Templeton Foundation, but I think they fund a lot of stuff that I don't agree with. So anyway, I think they have a purpose. Does anybody know about the Templeton Foundation?
So
I have heard of the Templeton Foundation.
I was under the opposite idea that they're actually a secular organization, like run by secular people, but they've like funded research that's relevant to like religion and culture. But it's been so long. I could be wrong on that. It's really been a long time. The last time I remember reading about this was all the way back in like Lee Strobel's The Case for Christ. The Templeton Foundation makes an appearance there. But I could be totally off. It's been a long time.
Yeah, I thought they try to remain unbiased, and they try not to just push religion, but I'm not entirely sure what they're all about. So
that's how my shitty eyes developed. Like this way: C, pinhole camera type eye; D, eye with primitive lens.
One more comment on the Templeton thing. I know on his blog, Jerry Coyne, who wrote Why Evolution is True, has been very critical of the Templeton Association or Templeton Foundation, whatever you call it. So maybe you ought to, if you go to his blog and type in the search bar Templeton Foundation, you might find some of his critiques of their work and their funding efforts.
Okay, here they are. We fund research and catalyze conversations that enable people to create lives of purpose and meaning. So do we inhabit a multiverse? Do we have free will? So it's hard to say where they're coming from. Let's see. Fund inspiring people. Like I say, they funded some things that young Earth creationists would not agree with, I think. So I don't know. Why tension and free society are funding areas. Black holes and evolution and creativity, forgiveness and free will. So they do a wide range of stuff, and they have a little video here. Should we play their little video? I don't know if you'll hear it. Can you hear it?
There are a lot of big mysteries that get us up in the morning.
Ooh, Brian Green.
What's the origin of the universe?
There was, after all, the Big Bang.
But what created the Big Bang?
God. Where does it go?
Where is the data? What do we know now?
How come there is matter in the universe? How is technology changing who we are?
What is character development?
Is it possible
Can I have this video?
It was a God who cared about human beings. What was that God like? How do we enhance who we are individually and societally?
I mean, the purpose of man is a huge question.
What is the very nature of human love? How do we love each other better?
These are some of the deep questions that we're trying to figure out.
They sound okay. They're, I think they're pretty open-minded to a whole lot of different conversations. So I'm not going to judge them, but I think John does judge them a little bit, though. Let's see. Where's it? Do we need? Okay, this one.
Potangelo was saying God created the Big Bang, apparently. Does that mean he accepts the Big Bang? I'm kind of confused there a little bit.
Well, he must fine-tune the universe, too. I guess.
Well, if you look at my profile picture, this will prove that God did do the Big Bang.
This one?
See? That's how he did it.
Oh. Whoops. What did I just do? Oh, I'm going back. Okay, I'm losing focus. Shooting ahead, boys and girls. Anybody have anything else?
Yeah. Now, Tangelo, watch. See, he stretches out the universe by lifting up his leg and lets it rip.
Well, in that case, I've created a few universes.
So I was listening.
them,
So the cause of the Big Bang is Taco
Bell. I've been listening to a lot of stuff by Fuzz Rana and Reasons to Believe, and he was doing a thing on fine-tuning of the universe and fine-tuning of the Earth and all that stuff the other day, which was this fine-tuning argument. I mean, God, I'm hoping somebody's dealt with that, dealt it the death blow that needs to be dealt.
Yes,
I mean,
the universe is so wonderfully fine-tuned for us that we can only live on 0.000 to the power of 1,000, 1% of what we understand as the universe.
Right.
That's so finely tuned for us, isn't
Why
it?
is Stephen Trenton so wrong? There was no Big Bang. It's a mathematical theory. Dot dot dot. Only that. Dot dot dot.
Wait,
We
what?
do not
What'd you
understand
say?
time. Dot dot.
There's only
I might have an issue with that.
Stefan,
Is he
what?
Buddhist?
Or is she talking philosophically, or what? Where did she say that?
She's always
Say in the
talking
chat.
philosophically.
Oh, okay.
She's always talking
Well,
philosophically.
I'll let
I
it slide then.
thought with like relativity or whatever, there is no
Oh
real now.
yes, yeah. Hold on. Yes, Stephanie, I know nothing. I'm agreeing with you. At least I know that I know nothing. You seem to think you know everything. I'm done.
Yeah. There was somebody that came up with 6 point. Maybe it was Thunderfoot that came up with 6 reasons why the fine-tuning argument is ridiculous. That I ran across a video, and unfortunately, I did not click on
Prophet
it.
Zod.
Oh, Prophet Zod. Okay, good. Because that would be the go-to on that.
Yeah,
But that one
Icarus mentioned it before. It was Prophet Zod.
Yeah. And, you know, in those other places in the universe where it's not so fine-tuned, I'm guessing there aren't any sentient beings sitting around talking about it. Right? We just happen to, apparently we're pretty lucky on the Earth. Fuzzrana had a bunch of stuff on cosmology, too. Maybe we'll do a thing on Fuzzrana and some of the stuff he's come up with on the next one.
Well, I'd be interested in hearing what he has to say about cosmology.
Yeah, he's got a few things about the formation of the solar system and how planets. He talks about the way our planets formed and the way planets are that were the exoplanets we're finding in other solar systems. But he's had a number of videos out in the last few days. If you go to Reasons to Believe, you could spot a few of them and check it out. But we'll get into that. I think we're going to have Rana on again, Dr. Rana. I think
Where does Otangelo get his information from? Fine-tuning of the universe is a fact. Do we have a citation of that? Because everywhere I've seen that the universe is not fine-tuned.
Yeah, they love this multiverse stuff, this bullshit with because Eugene Koonin went a little bit nuts in the last few chapters of his book and started talking about multiverse as a possibility, something like 10, 15 years ago. They love talking about that. The only excuse we have is the multiverse. No.
I love the multiverse.
Not true. Fuck the multiverse.
No, the multiverse exists. It will be proven in about 100 years, maybe more.
The naive understanding of what the multiverse is about will probably exist in 100 years.
All right.
Anyway.
Well,
like there's.
You will be proven wrong, Speed.
Yeah.
I'll be dead. We'll both be dead by then. We will be proven wrong.
There's another universe out there where
fact of life that we'll all be proven wrong about something eventually.
There's another universe out there where I cut my right arm instead of my left arm. Yeah.
I mean, you joke, but yes.
No, that's not what the multiverse is about.
Hello, Simon Spunk in the side chat.
The aspect of what people keep confusing is alternate realities, multiverse, multiple realities, multiple dimensions. They just keep chopping and changing between these different things, and they don't even understand the aspect that the multiverse is just a mathematical principle and an idea. It's not an actual thing that exists.
Yeah, and hardly something we can test right now. But
anyway,
so
let people dream, Bimsy. This is how we get this is how we get games like BioShock Infinite and stories like Everywhere, All at Once. Or
there you go, Midnight. Why don't you should author a good comic book series.
There's Marvel Comics.
And the MCU. There you go, the MCU.
Yeah, you could talk about the quantum brain, and you could talk about all that stuff. I got a good book on quantum biology.
What are you gonna say, Dessel?
Sorry. I'm going to say one thing real quick, which is, Speed, you're asking for stuff on, from a skeptical perspective on fine-tuning. There's like a shit ton of stuff that you can find. But a couple ones that I've read are like Objecting to God by Colin Howson, who is like a major guy for Bayesian probability theory. He goes into it in that book. And then James over there at Digital Gnosis, James Fodor, with his book Unreasonable Faith. He goes into it pretty extensively too, but there's like a shit ton of stuff that you could find.
Yep.
Yeah, James Fodor, he also has his own YouTube channel and does very long videos. So
I like
pretty ironic coming from Otangelo just now.
Who was the guy from Monty Python that did the puddle thing, or was that from Hitchhiker's Guide? The puddle.
The puddle, I think, is the hitchhiker thing.
Hitchhiker thing. Yeah, because that explains it so concisely, and Christians really hate that particular argument, and they have a lot to say about it. But I've never heard them say anything valid about it, and that's all you need to know. It's like, anyway, I want to shoot it in the head, guys.
No.
All right.
Okay.
Can you follow that with me as well, just to deal with Matt?
What's that?
Can you do that to me as well, just so I can get rid of Matt out of the head?
Yes. Okay. Well, yeah, I'm willing to take a bullet too today.
So I hear rumors that Streams is about to go live in about half an hour.
Yeah, nobody should go there. Nobody should ever go to that stream. In fact, you should subscribe to Gur Streams just so that you know when he's going live, so that you know not to go there.
30 minutes.
Okay. Anyway, guys, we're ending it.
Okay.
Hit the right
button.
Crew world.